All right. Now, I did go into some of the details of what was going on with Major League Baseball and some of the financial issues that they're dealing with. Now, the players, baseball jumped the gun in March. So baseball is partially to blame for this. Baseball jumped the gun in March and said, listen, we're going to have to modify the finances going forward because we're not going to be able to start on time. And this is the deal that we're going to make with you. So the baseball owners made this proposition. The baseball union accepted it. And then things went to hell and they closed the world. And, there's an opportunity now where they may not get a chance to play baseball at all. So the only way it's going to work is if the baseball players and the baseball owners can come together with some type of deal. Now, the owners sat down and said, listen, we've never had a cap. There is no cap. We just, everyone plays what they can afford. Each team has their own separate cap. The Yankees pay $260 million a year for their cap. The Pittsburgh Pirates have a $40 million payroll. So it's always different from team to team. So it's usually based on revenue, the amount of revenue they bring in, obviously. So when you look at it and you look at it from a player standpoint, you promised me that I was going to make X amount of dollars. Then you asked me to make a deal from that. And I took the deal. And now you want to make the deal again. So I understand from the player's standpoint that there is a you feel like you've been lied to or you feel like you were misled. But I also see it from the owner's standpoint of saying, I made that deal with you in good faith, understanding that we were going to try to make a change that was beneficial for all of us so that we can all maintain the ability to open up and not lose revenue as an organization, and you would not lose a paycheck as the year went on. We did not realize that we were going to be put under these limitations of, oh, wow, you can't play baseball too far into November because it starts to snow. There's a possibility. So we have to condense the season from 162 games to 81 games or 82 games. I think that's what they were talking about, 82 games. We have to condense it to 82 games. And we have to figure out a way to not even make money this year. We just don't want to lose money. We want to keep our brand active. We don't want our brand to die for a year while the NBA and NFL can figure out a way to stay alive. We want to maintain our positioning in the market. And we want you to make another deal, another concession. And the concession that we're offering you, and this is from the owners, the concession that they're offering the players is a 50-50 split of revenue. Now, keep in mind that there is no gate revenue. No gate revenue. There's only the television contracts that they'll share with them. Now, the players said, no, we don't want to do that. So there's a graphic. For those of you that are home listening on the podcast, you can't see this, but for those of you on YouTube, there's a graphic on the screen right now that you can see. And the graphic tells you what each team would lose if they stayed with the same deal right now and were unable to put fans in the stands. Now, we will assume that this year there will be no fans in the stands. We will assume that this virus is so deadly and so terrible that they are going to continue on the path they're on right now and say, you cannot have fans in the stands at all this year. If the New York Yankees had to stay with this path and were unable to put fans in the stands this year, they would lose $312 million in 2020. That is a business that would lose $312 million in 2020. Now that they are by far number one on the list. But if you want to get like what a quote unquote normal team, would lose, look at the Washington Nationals. They would lose $166 million. The San Diego Padres, $172 million. These are tremendous losses that a company cannot endure. So they're in a position right now where if the players try to maintain the fact that they're not going to give in and they're not going to make a deal, that the owners are going to be stuck and they're going to have no choice but to not have a season. And then I'm going to guess there'll be some legal action as the players try to say, well, you promised us our money, and the owners are going to point back to a clause that says, well, it also said in the case of a natural disaster, and this virus would fall under a natural disaster, and the owners and the players will say, well, that's not a natural disaster. It's going to go on and on. There's also all sorts of talking heads on television trying to make the case that NFL owners Major League Baseball owners, and I guess in doing so, it would also imply that your employer at home would be liable if you were to catch the virus at work. And I say, and maybe I speak this from the position of a former, large business owner. I have a couple employees now. It's not such a big deal. They can work at home for the things we do. It's all digital. So, but I think this from the attitude of a former business employer. The business owner, and I would say, no, I'm not liable if you come to work and catch the flu. That's a virus. What is the difference between that virus and this virus? And I'm not talking statistically. I'm talking theoretically. If you come to work and get sick at work while I'm paying you to be at work, then you are on your own. So I don't see how that becomes an issue where the owner has to now become liable. If you think differently, leave a comment in the section below, of course, and don't forget to hit the like button. We're new to YouTube, and we're trying so hard to get the algorithm to work in our favor. So apparently you need 40 or 50 videos before anything works in your favor. So if you happen to stumble upon this video, interact, click, become part of it. So that's kind of where we're at here. And I think I worry, and some of this worry comes from a personal standpoint. I worry that we're at an impasse and we're not going to be able to make our way through it. I worry that we're at and by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, this statistic that you see, this graphic, I borrowed this from Forbes magazine. It's a great article in Forbes. You can go check it out about some of these details. I'm not actually talking about the details they talked about in Forbes because it was an okay article, but I didn't think it went in depth enough. But I did love the graphic, so I took the graphic and I put it up here. So just want to give Forbes a shout out. Forbes, what's up, yo? Anyway, so there's a lot of issues to get through, and we need to get through it to the other side. For those of you that have followed me on the podcast and understand what it is I do, I'm a sports trader. I trade sports like you trade stocks. Baseball is one of my biggest markets. Last year, my investments out of baseball for the entire year were 240%, I believe. 217%, I'm sorry. I'm off. 217% profits. I was able to do that throughout the course of the year using several systems that I call the ScoreMetrics system of baseball. There's like 6 different systems. It's a diversified investment system that's built just like an investment system, but it's used inside of baseball. It uses back-tested historical data to actually generate huge profits for me and for the people that I've actually taught the system to. And without the system, without the season actually working, without the season actually going on, that's a market that I would not be able to participate in. So I am cheering like crazy for this market to open up and for these players and owners to be able to make a deal. Let's make a deal.